Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
It's that time again. Yes, indeed. It's time for another kick-it episode of Shark Bite Biz. Once again, I'm your rock star host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during an environment that is nothing short of complete chaos. Seriously, you can't get any more clearer than that. So today's show, one word, stellar. Absolutely stellar. I brought in a fellow YouTube podcast host that also focuses on helping brands grow. Just like I do with Vision 33, I manage their Northeast region for SAP Business One during my day job. Today's guest, same thing. He's the president and founder of his business rebranding business. Just like me, but he is better looking. His business podcast is used as a branch of his general business to help grow his brand, but also to really help businesses and people really get the word out and educate them and teach them all these tips and tricks about rebranding and doing things more efficiently. There's a ton of similarity between both of our shows, and I think the value between both of us is that we go at them from different angles, but really good stuff comes out of it. Our guest appearance comes at a perfect time. This is our 31st episode of the show, and most of our previous guests have all talked about, hey, this is the perfect time to rebrand, reevaluate, and to see if maybe there's a better way to do things. Just don't keep doing things because that's how you did it, and that's the only answer. Maybe there's a better way. Take that step back right now, reevaluate, is there a better way to do things? And that's why I think this show coming up now, seeing that we may hopefully be at the tail end of this pandemic thingy, that would be pretty awesome. So who is today's guest? None other than Ed Howie. Ed is one of the most experienced business branding strategists in the world. He has a dual degree in journalism and advertising from the University of North Carolina, as well as his executive MBA. He has spent more than 30 years working for and with organizations like Chick-fil-A, H-E-B Grocery, 7-Eleven, Massage Heights, KFC, and Kroger. Whether as a consultant, an executive, or an investor, he has helped to create, develop, and launch more than 20 brand concepts for a variety of different consumer brands, leading to more than $200 million in revenue. In addition to helping other companies brand and market themselves, he is a serial entrepreneur who has founded multiple seven-figure businesses, including his flagship business, BTYcreative. As an avid philanthropist, Ed has spent the last decade serving on multiple boards and speaking across the country to educational institutions, government entities, nonprofit groups, and corporations, helping anyone and everyone he comes in contact with to find and tell their unique brand story. So let's bring Ed on in here.
Business strategy.
Welcome to Shark Bite Biz. We're so glad to have you here.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no problem. So obviously, I kind of know who you are, but we have a tradition on this show. I'm sure you've seen it. I know you watch the show. Can you tell us, who is Ed Howie? What's your background? What's your experience? What do you do? What makes you you?
So, wow. Okay. So what makes me me is, well, my nickname or persona is Joy Beast, hence the Inspire a Million Joys. And kind of like you, as we were talking about, why are you even doing this kind of thing? I have a heart for entrepreneurs, and I just believe there's something magical about those of us that have put all or most of it on the line for a vision, for a dream, for an opportunity. And you typically have to be smarter with less resources. And so I want to share anything I can with other fellow entrepreneurs and help them basically lean into the principle of stewardship, which is doing all they can with what they have today. The last 6 months have taught us that what we thought we had, we may not have in the future. And what we thought we were going to do is not a guarantee. And so, you've got to, it is more difficult than ever to run a business. And so if I can do anything to help fellow entrepreneurs remember why they get started and find joy even in the challenge, then that's what I love to do. So that's like me personally.
Yeah.
That's kind of my mission in life. I just believe in the principle of stewardship. Professionally, I own BTYcreative, as well as on edhowie.com. We have Howie Grow brand, which is a YouTube podcast. So it's just like you, is YouTube centric with available on all the podcasts. And I tell you, it's the first thing I've done as an entrepreneur with no financial objectives. Like literally, there's all kinds of ways to monetize it. And personally, I'm working on a book, and when keynoting returns, I anticipate more keynoting, but like, it's not really like a sales funnel at this point. It's really just information, talking to great people like you, and really just like having that conversation, like you said, that we can't have because travel is rare and connections are challenged.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel the same way. I mean, with this channel too, I've hit the monetization mark, stuff like that, but it's not about making money. If I make money on this channel, it's going to go towards maybe getting a studio or somebody produce the videos so that we can have some time off.
No, I understand.
It's a big commitment.
It is. It's, I've told, actually, I was on a call earlier. We actually recorded some episodes earlier today, and we're in our studio that we opened up a week before we all went home to work from home.
Right.
And so, but at the same point, we've been able to use it for our clients and use it for ourselves. But what's crazy about this is that, to me, what is great about the community of entrepreneurs is that, as opposed to 20 years ago, it's really less about competition. It's more about collaboration. Right. And, there's enough to go around, right? I mean, I don't need to be the only marketing and branding firm in the world. That's not my objective. I want to be the right firm, have the right team for the right people. And so, especially now more than ever, we just need to help each other out.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what I do here with SharkBite Biz. Fun fact is, about 5 years ago is when I originally registered the name and all that stuff. But I just never went with it. It was like, well, there's like a billion podcasts out there. Why would people want to listen to me? And it wasn't until this pandemic hit that I was kind of forced into a corner to come up with something. And it's actually like, no, people would want to listen to me if I'm out there sharing ideas from subject matter experts, other businesses, how they're getting through this tough time, because there's so much knowledge out there that we're able to share within the whole community and help each other grow.
Well, and as an entrepreneur, the lifestyle by nature is isolationism. Whether it be our personalities that we think we have all the right answers, whether it be our dreams that we think we've got the dream nailed and, we're going for it. And, we use our sweat equity and our just muscle and grit to make it happen. I'm a member of Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. Okay. And that's an opportunity where you can meet with fellow business owners and actually sit around the table and learn from each other sharing. That process is challenged right now as virtual. Right. And so, we entrepreneurs, we remain ultimately responsible, but we don't have to remain individually isolated. And so I love the fact that you're doing some of this.
Yeah, it's the conversation. And here, I'll give you an example. I had Jenny Strung. I'm sure you can see the gorgeous bracelets that I have. Thank you, Jenny, from Jenny Mann from Strung. I actually just got these two in the mail from her today. I did pay, by the way, but she sent me a thank you note. But we had her on there, and it's like she thinks that she's just coming on to tell the story about her growing this rock string guitar, guitar string rock jewelry company. And it's like, no. There's so many layers to this cake. There's Jenny, the lead singer of the band Blame Shift. There's Jenny, the individual, and your career, how you went from a no rules lead singer, to actually having a multi-million-dollar successful business and transform into that corporate life. And there's a lot of different stories, and that's what I love about this show, that you bring somebody on and they think like, hey, yeah, I'm just going to tell the business, but then you dig in a little deeper and you find out, wow, you changed careers from being this to that. I think one was like a funeral director to like some kind of fitness business online that's pretty successful. It's like, that's pretty drastic. And
yeah, exactly.
I love to tell those stories because there's so many things we try to pack into each episode.
Well, it's funny, you talk about that. And what I love is not just learning how entrepreneurs are managing the day-to-day, which is helpful, but also like going back to the foundation story, the formation story.
Right.
Kind of like what you're describing with Jenny. I was a corporate guy. I worked for Chick-fil-A.
Right.
In
I
high
saw that
school.
in your bio.
Yeah. I worked for Chick-fil-A starting when I was 15 in North Carolina, in high school and college, and then 10 years corporate. And this was like 89 to 99 when we went from, say, 270 restaurants to about 800. I think we broke into our first billion. It's now like a 12, 13, $14 billion company. So I was there, and then I went with an upstart restaurant group. I was the first director of marketing at a company called Atlanta Bread Company. And then I know you're in Pennsylvania, right?
I'm in PA right now, outside of Philly.
Yeah, awesome. Where outside of Philly?
I'm in Lansdale.
Okay, I've got family from Wilmington, Delaware, so I know that's all
yeah,
pretty close to that area.
Far.
Yeah, so but then I didn't ever imagine being in the grocery business.
Right.
I thought I was kind of a restaurant retail guy versus retail grocery, and I got recruited by a company here in San Antonio called HEB, which stands for HE Butt. You're probably very familiar with Wegmans.
Oh yeah, Wegmans. Yes.
So Wegmans and Meijer and HEB are three still large. I believe they're all three still privately owned, and they are just like best in class.
Sorry, I was going to say, I can't even go to Wegmans at this point. I get lost every time I go. Like, I need that. This is the only grocery store, I swear, I need a map to find myself around. It is so insanely large out here. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy.
Well, so HEB is very similar to Wegmans. And one of the reasons I got recruited by HEB was that literally Charles Butt, the CEO, wanted to put a 3,000 square foot drive-through fast food restaurant on the corner of basically a 95,000 square foot grocery store. Okay. This was 2000. Okay. This was like when home meal replacement was kind of bubbling. And so we had to figure out a way to create a drive-through for a restaurant attached to a really, really big grocery store without an ability to wrap the cars around a restaurant like you do at a Chick-fil-A or a Wendy's. And so we took, you're familiar with Sonic, I would assume, up there?
Yes. Okay. Well, I don't know out here, but I'm familiar with them from living out on the West Coast for many years.
Right. Okay. So, Sonic has like the 50s drive-in where you pull up to the menu and place your order. So we combined a Sonic drive-in with a traditional pickup window so that multiple cars could pull in and place their order. But then when your food was ready, we said you're good to go and you drive up to the window. Because if you ordered fried chicken and I had like, say, just drinks and fries, we didn't want fried chicken order to hold up the drinks and fries. So it was a way to get efficiency. Anyway, it was a little ahead of its time because the labor for a grocery store employee much higher cost per hour than for a fast food restaurant. And so profitably, while we did 1.4 million in sales, it just wasn't profitable at that time in that environment. Now you fast forward 15 years, 20 years, and you see what's going on with food or retail. But I kind of thought I'd be doing that kind of stuff my whole life. And if I don't always share this, but it's kind of interesting. My 2003, I've been there 3 years, and my wife looks at me and says, "Are you happy?" And now we're in the car with 2 kids under the age of 6 in the back seat, driving from North Carolina back to Texas from vacation. And I looked at her and said, "With you?" I mean, I'm like, where's this going? I'm in West Texas. She said, "I better know the answer to that question." She said, "Are you happy at HEB?" And 5 minutes later, I responded by saying, "No, I'm not." And she said, "So what are you going to do?" She goes, "I know you're not. You haven't been for about 6 months. What are you going to do about it?" And I responded like a really good husband and said, "Well, you're not working, kids, college, insurance. What do you want me to do about it?" And she asked me what is, I believe, one of the most powerful questions that we can ask ourselves. And that is, what makes you happy?
Right.
And what I realized is that my first response was, I like helping people sell stuff. And she, in her infinite wisdom, said, "You want to be a salesman?" I said, No. I like helping people do all they can with what they have. That whole principle of stewardship. And her question was the second best question, which was, can we make money doing that? And I was like, I think I can now. I don't know if you've ever done StrengthsFinder. Are you familiar with StrengthsFinder, Marcus Buckingham? No. So I highly encourage, whether you love implicitly everything you're doing or not, I believe that self-awareness is one of the greatest paths to truly self-joy.
No,
if we can truly.
is.
Truly. I mean, and I'm 53 years old and I'm still discovering stuff. And
you don't look a day over 52, Ed.
I like it. That's the goal. So literally this was 17 years ago, and StrengthsFinder, kind of a plug for StrengthsFinder. You read the book halfway, there's a code in the back, you go online, you do the survey, and the principle based on Gallup research is there's 34 core strengths. We each possess 4 or 5 primary strengths. Right. The better aware you are of your strengths and the more you order your world around it, you're not only more effective, but you're happier. And so literally within 24 hours, my 5 core strengths are ideation, strategic, winning others over, connectedness, positivity. The very last Sunday night in July of 2003, I printed off the report. I handed it to my wife. She read it, said, "Well, they nailed you. What are you going to do about it?" I said, "I think we're starting our own company." She said, "Can we make money doing that?" I was like, "I think so." And I resigned from HEB 2 weeks later with a business plan, which was that there were business owners that needed access to a marketing executive, but didn't need to hire one full time. And we expanded from that to that there are basically owners and brands that need access to a marketing team, and they don't necessarily need one full time. And that's what we do. We're a marketing department for hire.
Right. And how long have you been doing this for? Like, how long has that transition been?
The transition was 2 weeks back in 2003, and we just celebrated 17 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, it definitely sounds like, in retrospect, that it was the right choice.
It was. I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, it was definitely the right choice, because let's just say I was not the best employee. Right. And what I mean by that is that, I think I got really good results, but I had a what I'll call a dissonance. That I was this entrepreneur within this corporate employee world. And what I realized is that I can really help people visualize opportunity. Right. And while I can operate and I can run a great lunch in a restaurant and I can oversee 320 deli food service departments and get them selling the right product, that kind of stuff. That's not where I get my joy. I get my joy from helping people discover the next opportunity and lead into it versus manage the current opportunity.
Okay. So here's a good question for you. The world is at, and again, I'm using your words, a joy deficit. Okay.
Yes, it is.
How can your brand deliver some much needed joy to the community and, importantly, their teams?
Yeah, so I would say that, and man, I could talk to you for hours about joy. Let me just
it's interesting. I've got to say, because that is unique with, you hear being happy or positive for business, but I don't think I hear that many people talking about joy like you do.
Interesting. Yeah. There are many reasons why I am full of joy. However, let me tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. Okay.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that I really struggled in March and April. Like, should I not be joyful considering all that myself, my family faced and have been facing, what my friends, my peers, I mean, literally every single client has had their business model questioned and challenged.
Right.
And so to me, joy is, as a friend said, a joy is recognizing, you know what? It's like game on. It's like, you know what? It's having the confidence that you have the provision inside you, or you access to the provision to figure out the next right thing. And to me, the opposite of joy is fear. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very difficult. I do not thrive in the spirit of fear. So there's so much to fear right now, but the bottom line is I own a business. I have employees. If I live in the land of fear, I'm not going to serve my people and my customers, my community properly, because I will be limiting my effect. So
aren't there some people, though, that do thrive in fear? Fear is a motivator for them. I know if I'm under pressure, fearful, whatever, it usually helps me create an idea to get past what I'm fearful of.
So I do believe there's a survival mentality. And, you know, if I've been in situations where I've had to tap into that, okay? Mm-hmm. A consulting model that I use as far as one of the ways you generate change of behavior is fear, pain, or vision, okay? What I would subscribe to and own is that fear can be an incredible behavior activator. It can be an incredible instigator, but operating out of fear does not mean you're operating into your fullness, because there is a preservation protection mentality that if I was operating in fear, I would not have hired two full-time employees in the last 4 months.
Right.
I mean, and I pray at 12 months from now, I am as confident that was the right decision as was. But I mean, I felt that that we had more people needing us than ever before, thankfully. Unfortunately, many of them were paying us less than they had paid us in the past because of limited resources, because we're in it for the long haul. We just don't take care of you in the good times. We're here to help you through all of it. And so if we had to adjust our services to help you get through that, we're going to do that. That's how we operate. I believe in that firmly. Not every business can do it. Thankfully, we're blessed where we can. That being said, is that when I was in the fear mindset, I was active, but I was like protecting. It was like lock the storehouse, limit resources. Oh my gosh, do we really need to spend $25 on tips treats to send cookies to a client right now? Well, the fear answer is no, save every dollar. Right. I would say the joy answer is, do you want to share joy with that person? And do you believe it's the right thing to do? And it doesn't mean send them to Vegas for $3,000, but maybe the $25 cookies, you can actually afford to do it. Does that make sense?
No, that totally makes sense. And it is bringing, I mean, times like these, someone just randomly getting cookies. Who doesn't like cookies? You know what I mean?
Who doesn't? I mean, it's been said that we can celebrate anything, but I think my point on that aspect is that, as you talked about it, the joy deficit is that joy is not naivete. Joy is not like this, like expectation of bliss. It is basically confidence that I firmly believe we as humans have the capacity to be much stronger than we believe we are. Right. And I believe there are a ton of forces in the world that convince us, sometimes it's the people closest to us, that we're not as strong as we are. Okay. Right. And so I do agree that fear can, like, that fight or flight is a powerful like instigator. But if you're constantly watching your back, and I'm full of metaphors today, but if you're constantly watching your back, you're not looking forward.
Right.
And I believe that one of the greatest principles of business, if you're not selling more next year than you are this year, you're not going to be as strong a business.
Right.
And so by nature,
totally
as
agree.
entrepreneurs, we've got to drive it forward. And frankly, if we're not going to do it, who in our team is? And if they're driving it more forward than we are, shame on us, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. I have a long time cliche that I've always lived by, and it's that if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. Staying still is the same as moving backwards. You've always got to be moving forward. So when you're looking at that, then, I mean, do you view it that you're playing offense, defense? I mean, what's the kind of mindset that goes through?
So it's interesting. This conversation, this issue of offense defense came up randomly an hour ago with someone who's a former athlete, and she subscribed to the fact that offense is important, but defense is essential.
Defense wins championships.
It does. Lee Corso is what wins football games, right?
Yeah.
And so I do believe that defense is essential. So I'm going to just give a brief aside here, is that I don't want to lead us into the trap, which is the word or, is because right now we're living in the world of or. You either believe this or this, you either do this or this. So I will tell you, I believe that it's both. Okay. I believe that you have to do both as a business leader. However, I believe that again, it's kind of like that joy-fear thing, David, is that if I'm spending the majority of my resources defending the basket and I don't score, then unless they do not score, I don't win.
Right.
Okay. And how many games have you enjoyed where the score's been 0-0? Probably not many.
Not many.
Okay. So I would rather it be like, how do we score and score and score? And it's okay for you to score. There's enough to go around, but you're not going to score more than I am. And that's I'm either going to score more than you are, or I'm going to prevent you from scoring more than you can.
And I think that's a good analogy. I think that'll really connect with people to kind of break that out so that you could hear how offense and defense can kind of work together and not be offense or defense.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you that, I mean, you can have, I mean, I don't want to play a game where it's just a matter of me winning versus whatever the obstacle is, the opponent is, me winning just because I happened to have the ball when the time ran out. I want it to be because we clearly won the game. And I will tell you that, I mean, this sounds like fairy dust ideally, is that it kind of goes back to there's enough to go around. We don't focus with our clients on how can you take out the competition. It's how can you beat the competition. You know what I mean? And so so let me tell you what I believe is offense when it comes to branding. Okay. And that is our principle of first, best, and only. And that is, if you are either a brand or you're a commodity. All right. Now, I don't know, like sometimes the word commodity like confuses people. And basically the way I look at a commodity is something that is essential, but the market sets its value.
Right.
Okay? So like corn's a commodity, right?
Yep.
And you can pay like 55 cents for 8 ounces or 12 ounces of corn in a can, or you could pay $3.99 in Wegmans frozen section for that same 8 ounces, tossed with olive oil and cilantro and sea salt, frozen, that you can microwave in a bag for 3 minutes.
Right.
It's still the same 8 ounces of corn, basically, right? But you got a margin between 80 cents and $3.99. So I like to play in the $3.99 world versus the 80 cents. And so we believe one of the ways that entrepreneurs can lead their companies into doing that is, are they first at something? Meaning, are they first? And sometimes that's just first in the customer's mind, but you got to be first. And then what they've chosen to bring to the world, is there something about it that you're better than other people, that is your best? Okay. Now, if your market is San Antonio, Texas, and you're not trying to be a global brand, you don't have to beat everyone who's doing it in the world. You just have to beat
Right.
people that are doing it in your market. Now, e-commerce expanded that. That's a whole other
It makes
conversation.
it very hard to do it locally anymore because we're in so connected right now to not even just nationally but internationally.
Yeah,
You can be
this whole
competing
omni-channel.
with, right. You can be competing with this little mom and pop shop down in Peru for all that you know. It makes it very tough.
But are you building best into the customer experience? Is there something about the way that you have orchestrated this whole customer experience that sets you apart? Because that's really what branding is. You set yourself apart from other like items.
And going back to bringing joy to your community too.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's a great way to do it. And then only is a standpoint that do some of your customers believe you're the only solution for it? You know, I don't have one in my pocket. I just took it out of the studio, but actually, I don't know what happens if I stand up. I'm going to stand up. Hold on a second, okay? So I'm going to use a little visual example.
We love visual examples here.
All right, so this right here, can you see what that is?
That looks like a red Sharpie magic marker.
It is a Sharpie magic marker. And so when I have the opportunity to keynote throughout the country, especially before all of this, at some point in the question, I could be in a room with 300 or 3,000 people, and I would ask a question: how many of you own a Sharpie? Raise your hand. And I will tell you, without counting every hand, 80 to 90% of the room would raise their hand. And I say, leave your hand up if you know exactly where your Sharpie is right now. And almost everyone keeps their hand up, okay? You know where your Sharpie is.
They must not have kids.
Yeah.
I'm telling
you. You know where you put it last, right?
Right.
You know? But in all seriousness, think about it. You know that black Sharpie is in the drawer over the trash can in the kitchen, or in the utility drawer, or it's on your desk next to your calculator, right?
Right.
And so it looks like you've got a blue one to your left. That may be a highlighter to your right, actually.
This is a Sharpie highlighter.
All right.
Now, we'll see if that's still there come this time tomorrow.
I hear you. So what we talk about with branding, and this can be, I believe, any brand, because I mean, think about it. As an entrepreneur, you start this business and risk some or all because you think the world needs what you're bringing, right? Yeah. So the deal is, if they don't see you as the best solution for them, or the only place they want to go, or that best, even better yet, you're the first one that showed them how to do it, so why would I try anything else? If you can know first, best, or only, or combination of those, it's amazing what you do. And we believe that these little unexpected elements of joy are those kind of things that can differentiate. I'll give you a quick example. A restaurant that we had not been to in over a year. Things are opening up. They're opening up, meaning like limited capacity, but outdoor seating, that kind of stuff. So my wife and I went out to dinner, actually, in an outdoor restaurant Friday night, to a restaurant
in San Antonio.
In San Antonio, within 2 miles of our house, that we had not been to in over a year, like way pre-COVID. Wow. Okay. We enjoyed it so much that we ordered dinner from that same restaurant Saturday night to go curbside. We ordered the same entrees, and it made no sense. But we were hunkered down in our den watching college football, which it was peculiar, but it was better than nothing. And we just decided, you know what, we're gonna order dinner from this restaurant. We ordered dinner. We bring it home. We set up the TV trays, and we pull out all the food, and we're putting it all out. And there's this little bag, and there were two of these most incredible chocolate brownie cookies and one little brown butter sugar cookie. We didn't pay for it. We didn't ask for it. They offered us dessert. We didn't order it, but we got that little something extra. Right. Now let me tell you two things that happened in that transaction. One is, when I gave them my credit card on the phone call, they wouldn't take American Express because they're trying to save money by not using American Express. I just think that's one of the stupidest things business owners can do. But I understand.
Believe me, I go through the same thing.
Why would you literally tell a customer you're not going to accept the way they want to pay? That is insane. Right. Anyway, because that 1% is really going to make your difference. Anyway, we'll go. That's another episode, maybe, right? And then the second issue is that I had a $10 coupon that I'd received in the mail the day after. So Saturday morning, my wife gets the mail. We're looking at it, and there's a card for $10 off at this restaurant. It's one of the reasons why we ordered. Well, I left the card at the house. Okay. And so when I showed up, they brought the food. They asked for the card. I didn't have it. They didn't say bring the card in. I didn't read the fine print. So they told me they were going to have to add the $10 back to my ticket. But they could do that since they already had my Visa number. I was like, whatever. However, they then gave us 2 chocolate cookies and this brown sugar cookie, which was like phenomenal. And I tried not to eat a lot of sugar. It was so worth it. And I was like, you know what? They won because they ultimately wooed me. We have a principle called woo, not poo, is that we believe, I mean, but think about it. You talk about offense, defense. Right. Our customers are scoring us all the time, right? Right. They're giving us thumbs up or thumbs down. We're either putting points on the board or they're taking them away. And so we went from woo to poo to poo, and then they threw those cookies back in. We didn't pay for them. Totally unexpected. Gave us the woo. We're going to eat there again, and we're going to use that during card and carry it in next time and save $10. And we're going to be happy about it.
That's great.
But think about it. If they had left us, if they hadn't thrown those cookies in, whose idea was that? I have no idea. We would have ended.
Right, exactly. You may not have eaten there for another 2 years. Right.
It'd been like, you know what? That was nice. It was really good, crazy to have the same meal twice, but you know what? Not worth the effort. And so I say that to say is that you asked about joy and this whole offense or defense is no matter what business you're in, if you're an entrepreneur, you better be thinking really hard about every step of the customer or client experience right now. The last thing you want to do is make it more difficult for someone to do business with you. And the really last thing you want to do is do anything that causes them to want to look somewhere else.
Right.
Because things are tough and they're going to get tougher. And I believe it's going to take more customers for most industries to generate the same sales moving forward. And the last thing you need to do is like have self-inflicted wounds on your brand. Because you didn't want to lose 1% on an American Express transaction.
I totally agree. Vision 33, my day job, we stopped accepting, our margins are thin in our industry, and we stopped accepting it when things were up high. But the moment this pandemic hit and stuff, now we accept Amex again and Autopay. It was that quick for them to adjust to the new realities, like, hey, we want to eliminate any barriers for people to pay us. We need to collect the money to make the payroll. So I'm glad that I'm with a forward-thinking company that was able to really just grab it. And now, our company, because of those types of moves, we're in a really good position going forward, to come out the other end, possibly even stronger than we were before we went in.
I believe that there are going to be winners in every industry that have been very deliberate, like you said, about removing obstacles and giving your customers more reasons to stick with you. Because I got to tell you, I've seen, there's sales and profits are important, and cash flow is even more important. But I'm not in it just to make money. We got to make money.
Exactly.
I want to grow net worth of myself as my individuals, as a principle of stewardship, my team. I want them to stay with us as long as possible and not leave because that they're not happy and or they feel like there's a better opportunity somewhere else. If it's a better opportunity for them to grow, that's great. But if it's a better opportunity because they want something different that's the same, that's not good. Oh wait, that was an aside. Let me just say this: is that that I believe that there are brands that are going to have an abundant opportunity to serve more customers in the future than they can ever imagine. Right. Because they took a hard look and said, what is it that we need to do that is impeding us from doing all we can with what we have?
Right.
I will tell you this, and if they're listening, I apologize, but this whole notion of trying to do everything for every client, every customer, that is something you want. But we had a client that we've worked with off and on for several years. We appreciate the relationship. They needed something done within 24 hours that we were going to have to ultimately not do something for a client we'd already committed to if we took that on. Okay. Because it was going to take more hours than they imagined or than we had ourselves. And we had to tell them no. And their response was, totally understand. It was a short ask. We'll be back in touch in a couple of weeks about the next project. I don't like saying no, but sometimes
you have to push. You need to push back. I mean, it's like, hey, I want to give you the world, the sun, and the moon, but if it's impossible, or by you doing it, you're risking doing it bad or whatever, rushing it. You have to know when to stay firm.
I totally agree. And it wasn't about it wasn't an ego play. It was like literally we were not convinced we could give you what you needed in the time without hurting someone else's business. And we had already committed to other things, so we had to honor that. They could have said, frankly, screw you. They could have said, you know what, actually, can you do it in 3 more days versus 1? Or they could have said, hey, no worries, we understand, which is what they said, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So we do got to get going, but I am told before we head out that I must ask you, and quickly too, because of time, what are the 3 R's for marketing and brand management?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So I don't know if these are the 3 R's like moving forward forever, but they kind of are. And, let me frame it by, I hate the word pivot. Okay.
Yep.
Because pivot to me seems like a temporary Band-Aid. It's kind of like playing defense. Okay. So
you're making me change all my marketing now. Thank you.
I know. Sorry.
This is all about how businesses pivot during the pandemic. Bam. I have to go re-edit all my stuff.
Well, pivoting is essential, but don't stop there is my point. Okay. So this is the deal, is that your customers in many industries have been latent, meaning they have been disconnected. They have been less likely to buy. They've been less likely to leave the house. So the first thing brands have to do is remind. They have to remind their community they exist and why they matter and what they are hopefully first, best, and only for them in. Okay. Yeah. So remind. And that doesn't mean spending $20,000 on a TV ad or $200,000 on a TV ad. There's so many clever ways you can remind. But if someone hasn't transacted with you in the last 6 months, don't just think they're going to remember you when things open up. You got to remind them of your relationship. Okay. Right. Second is reimagine versus pivot. If you spend all this effort to figure out how to survive the next 4 weeks, and then that money is lost because you have to go back to something, you're just spending a lot of money trying to save 4 weeks, but you're not literally seeing how it could be a long-term business strategy.
Right.
So survival is survival. We talked about that, but I would encourage you to reimagine what your customers need. Don't just pivot to try to protect, again, survive. And then third, and that is reinforce. And that is, think about, I don't know your personal situation, but I think I can safely say that you have more stress in your life the last 6 months than you had the 6 months before. Is that safe to say?
For me, yes, definitely.
Okay. It doesn't mean you didn't have stress before, but I mean, we are all like operating with this, like the significant amount of insecurity and uncertainty. And so if we do not reinforce why we and what we do matters to our community or in our prospects, there's so many reasons for them not to think about us and not to choose us. We've got to reinforce and remind and reimagine to be an offensive playing, proactive brand that leads boldly.
And that's very joyful.
That is, and enjoy it while you're doing it. Because there's a lot of things not to enjoy right now. But you know what? I didn't start this business 17 years ago to like not be able to navigate this mess. We're getting through this, and we're gonna bring our brands with us.
And that's good. I love the confidence that you have there, and you just know it because you're just totally bought into the positive way, and it really, really shows. So I guess last thing, I'll let you say whatever you want here to end as far as, do you have any words of advice for any small business owners out there struggling, trying to get sales, anything like that? Do you have any advice you want to give them?
Yeah. So the first advice would be that that if you're desperate, don't just buy the next media that walks in the door, literally or figuratively. Okay. Be deliberate about how you're intending to spend your money. Can you hear that music?
No, I can't.
Oh,
hear
funny!
music.
I've got music in my ear. That's funny. So first is even in panic, be deliberate. Second is remember why you started. Why did you believe that this was going to be the thing people need? They still need it, and so live into that. And then third, yeah, your customers are stressed, but so is your team. So if you're not being deliberately loving on your team, you need to deliberately love on your team, because life is hard right now and you want them fully aware that it's going to get better.
Oh, no. Great advice. And I think that's so true. I mean, even at Vision 33, we're constantly checking in with them, constant communication I have with my team, making sure that they're able to handle, hey, you're working from home, you're a school teacher, and you're also employed full time with us. Everything's okay?
That's right.
And
Just
they love
figure
it.
out today. Yeah.
Awesome. Exactly. Hey, Ed, this has been an amazing, very insightful interview. I think we covered about 30 different topics. It's been great.
That's kind of how we roll.
Yeah. How can people get in touch with you?
So we are building a community, and that community is Howie Grow a Brand. And that community is the easy way to access is through our YouTube channel, Howie Grow a Brand. You can basically subscribe to our channel. We've got about 9-10 episodes out there. We're available on podcasts as well. And then on edhowie.com, if you go in and actually enter your email address, we've got a video about the power of 5. And it is 5 simple ways to positively affect your business for good that almost any business can do. And it's a cheap, it's a simple way of being able to describe some of the basics of how do you really make your brand resonate now more than ever. And
that's
so,
great.
and we're doing similar to you, look forward to visiting with you more about what you do in a future episode, hopefully on How to Grow a Brand.
Yeah,
but we're
just
just visiting with other entrepreneurs. Heck yeah, because it's like, you know what? It is great to know that we're not alone. We're not alone.
Yeah. No, we definitely aren't. And you're not going to be alone, because everybody's going to click the links in the description to see your YouTube channel and also your edhowie.com website. So, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity to visit, and the cool thing about this is that you're chatting with me today is reminding me, like, today started off as a very Monday. We were chatting before we recorded.
Yeah.
The Mac blew up at 9:55, all that stuff. But you know what? We're living and breathing, and we got it going.
It all turned out okay.
It all turned out okay. It wasn't what we imagined,
no,
and we had to reimagine.
Yes,
but you know what? We still accomplished what we needed to today. So that's good.
Yes, we did. Hey, thank you again, Ed, and I am sure you'll be back in the show a couple months from now.
Awesome,
man.
See you then. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Wow, that was an awesome interview with Ed Howie. I totally loved it. I've also got to admit, he's got a way better studio than what I got. But don't worry, we'll get there one day. So let's just jump right in. The joy deficit. I've got to admit, I've never heard of a joy deficit prior to my interview with Ed. But it is so true. The more I think about it, and after the interview, when this has kind of sat in, with all the craziness and instability going around, there is a joy deficit. And you're in a powerful spot right now to help spread some joy around. I think Ed's story about, even during these uncertain times, to go out and just spend a couple bucks to bring joy to your clients, is a golden nugget of knowledge. Too many people are looking at things, I think, very black and white, meaning they're stopping spending because resources and financials, I mean, they're probably not in an excellent spot. And they're basically thinking, hey, we've got to conserve every penny. While that is true on the surface, you should probably try to be very fiscally responsible. Little gestures like buying cookies will help bring smile to faces. It's not going to break the bank. And if 20 or 25 bucks for one customer for a batch of cookies does break the bank, then we've got a lot bigger issues with your company that we need to be talking about. Those cookie munching office employees of your customer, they're going to love them. They're going to enjoy them. And it's a really good relationship building move in these times. You know, that these times are so rough for so many people and companies. So I guess what I'd like to say is do not be complicit in the joy deficit. Make people smile. So much good stuff is in this video. So another point that I wanted to bring up is about the offense versus defense discussion. Are you a brand or are you a commodity? Even with being a commodity, though, I mean, you've got to look at the silver lining. You can still control your value add for your product. His story about corn and how you just throw in some cilantro, some lime flavor, and put it in the frozen section. Bing, bang, boom. You know, that is allowing you to control the value add for that commodity, and you're getting a lot higher price than if you just sold the same old boring product yourself. So that really kind of wraps into selling the reward, not the product. And lastly, I just kind of wanted to reinforce his 3 R's for marketing and brand management. Remind, reimagine, and reinforce. This is the perfect time to really push those 3 R's for your business. So make sure you check out the Howie Grow a Brand YouTube channel. The link will be down in the description. And if you sign up on his website, theedhowie.com, you'll be able to get his Power of 5 information, super secret classified business tips that look pretty solid. I've seen them. They look amazing. So have you used the 3 R's at all? Leave a comment in the description below and let's get this conversation flowing. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you smash that subscribe button. No matter what platform you're on, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you're at, hit it. But most importantly, if you found this interview to be helpful for you to be able to grow your business, to spark some ideas that can maybe rejuvenate, your business, your flows, how you're doing things, please share the video. Let's help get the word out. Let's help grow this community. And don't forget to check out the awesome merchandise we got. Look at this beautiful Shark Bite Biz mug at the Shark Bite Biz merch store. That link will be in the pinned comment below on YouTube or on the description if you listen to the audio podcast. And lastly, remember, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz, and I'll see you next episode.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.